Hello, fight fans. If you're looking for picks and odds on UFC 235, Jon Jones versus Anthony Smith, and Tyron Woodley versus Kamaru Usman, you've came to the right place. Very quickly, just a quick shout out from a sponsor, because it is a friend and it could be a great opportunity for you or somebody you know. Guys, I see a lot of you in the chat. You talk about you have a boss that's busting your balls. Maybe he's on you all day or her, and you know what you're doing. You know your job. Guys, one of my friends, good friend Sai, is selling his mission route for us to another career, another bend in his career, even a greater opportunity. He has built an incredible route in the city of Marysville, Washington. A nice town about 30 miles north of Seattle. And this is a ready-to-go route. It is for sale. It is your own business. You get the truck, and you get all the contracts that he's already built to all the stores. He's done all the work for you. It's all you have to do is write the check. And financing is available for those that are approved. If you have any more questions for me, please email me at fightsandfriends@gmail.com. But I mean, how much easier does it get than putting tortillas and chips on shelves? It's a pretty good gig, if you ask me. But let's jump into the card. What we are actually here for. And Jon Jones versus Anthony Smith is not the only great fight on this card by a long shot. This is a super deep card. And I'll tell you what, I'm not getting tired of saying this. No matter what you can say about, all the drama and basically all the divisions right now, we are getting some great fights. And Misha Cirkunov versus Johnny Walker is a very interesting one. Misha Cirkunov was supposed to be fighting OSP. When OSP backed out because of an injury, Johnny Walker immediately asked to take his place, even though it would only be a month after he had just fought. He didn't break much of a sweat in his under a minute to take out his opponent. He basically has about a minute in the cage altogether. Misha Cirkunov maybe a tougher fighter than he wants to fight right away. This guy, he's absolutely incredible. And this is the first ranked fighter, of course, that Johnny Walker will be fighting. He's got those names on his resume. Coming off a first-round submission of Patrick Cummings. Did trip up against Glover, Teixeira, and Volkan Ozdemir. But before that, he was on a 4-fight winning streak against some pretty tough guys, finishing all of them. Alex Spartan Nicholson, Ion Kudalaba, some first, second, and third round finishes in there. The guy is a treat to watch. That being said, you guys asked me at the beginning of the year who my dark horse was. And that was before his last fight, before he fought in 2019. And I said it was going to be Johnny Walker. He destroyed his last opponent very quickly. I have to pick him again to take out Misha Cirkunov. And I think it's going to be in the first round. Jeremy Stephens versus Zabit Magomedsharipov. I probably took longer to break down this fight than just about any fight I ever have. The odds makers have this incredible, by the way. They have Zabit Magomedsharipov like a 3.5 to 1 favorite. I think that's pretty insane, considering Jeremy Stephens has been fighting since 1952. But it is hard to believe that Jeremy Stephens is only 32 years old. I feel like I'm in that Mandela effect they talk about, where you remember things happened one way and then somebody warped time and went back and changed them. I feel like I already lived a life where Jeremy Stephens fought till like 45 and retired. Apparently, that's not the case. He has been very effective as of recently, despite the last loss to Jose Aldo. Right before that, he had 3 big wins in a row. One over Gilbert Melendez, another impressive one over Josh Emmett. Zabit Magomedsharipov, one of the most exciting prospects in the UFC today. This guy, he's got a ton of kicks. He's got great wrestling. He's got creative punching, back fists. I mean, moves that we're going to have to make up names for. The leg kicks, the body kicks, the spinning head kicks, flying head kicks. Absolutely incredibly creative fighter. Just in one of his last fights, out of a beautiful transition into a reverse leg bar for a submission. That being said, Jeremy Stephens, one of the most durable guys out there and super hard hitting. I think Stephens' shot would be to attack Zabit early in that first round, put some pressure on him. But watching those fights that happened to Zabit, he did, he held his cool. He stayed very calm. It's pretty hard to mess with these Dagestan guys. They've been through a lot. So I'm taking Zabit by unanimous decision. I think he gets it done, but I don't think he finishes the tough Stephens. That takes us to another very interesting matchup, one that's almost even on the odds books. Pedro Munhoz versus number 2, Cody No Love Garbrandt. And I'll tell you what, the odds makers are giving him no love, in my opinion. I know Pedro Munhoz is tough. He's fought in, some of the best guys out there. You look at his last fights, and 6 out of 7. He's won 6 of the last 7, and his only loss was a split decision. But it was to Jaw Dodson, and I don't see any names on here that are capable of competing with a guy with tremendous knockout power that was able to go through a strategic battle and win a decision over Dominic Cruz. I mean, that is just absolutely amazing. I take Cody Garbrandt. I think he gets it done by knockout. I think he knocks out Pedro in the second round. Let's go to Tecia Torres versus Weili Zhang. Weili Zhang, they have actually a slight favorite. I think that the odds makers usually do a pretty good job. On this card, I am going to take offense again, even though Tecia's not much of an underdog. And I know why they're making her an underdog, because of a couple losses recently, but don't be fooled. She went the distance, split decision with Jessica Andrade. Lady is an absolute murderer, coming off literally almost killed probably Carolina Kalakowicz. And Tecia Torres went the distance with her, almost beat her. Weili Zhang, she's looked impressive in her first couple shots in the cage up to this point. She's not Tecia Torres. I say Tecia Torres wins this, and pretty easily by unanimous decision. I love the storylines in this, and again, the odds makers have got some very interesting odds all over the place. This one, they have newcomer Ben Askren, never fought in the UFC, 3.5 to 4 to 1 favorite, depending on what bookmaker you're looking at. And Robbie Lawler, former UFC welterweight champion, has been fighting, of course, for a very, very long time, beating a lot of good guys over the years, including win that championship from a prime Johnny Hendricks. But he is coming off an ACL injury. He also is coming off of a lot of wars. He's 36 years old. Even though he's only been in 40 fights, his fighting style could be described as berserker. He just goes in there and tries to destroy people. Ben Askren, you go to him. He was pretty much flawless in Bellator. has not competed on the level of the UFC, went over to ONE FC, was pretty much able to finish everyone, if not everyone, was ready to retire when Dana finally pulled the string and made a trade for Demetrius Johnson, sent Demetrius Johnson over to ONE FC for Ben Askren to Bellator. I think this is a bad matchup for Robbie Lawler coming off of an ACL injury. Even though his takedown defense has been very good over the years, I believe in Ben Askren's wrestling. I've seen him in Bellator. I've seen his stuff in ONE FC. Even if the competition isn't this high level, what is really important is he's been training with Tyron Woodley that entire time. Tyron Woodley's trusted him in his camps for every fight for I don't know how long, and I think the guy just is an excellent wrestler. It's almost impossible to hit him. I think Ben Askren wins by unanimous decision. Speaking of Tyron Woodley, in the co-main event, he will be defending his welterweight title, one of the greatest welterweights of all time, facing, I believe, the toughest challenge of his career to date. And I know a lot of people said that about Darren Till. I was never very big on Darren Till. You can go back on tapes. You can go back and listen to the things that I said. I was always very big on Tyron Woodley winning that fight fairly easily. But this is a guy, Tyron Woodley, that spent 10 rounds with Stephen Thompson. Came out as a winner on both of them, coming off that magnificent knockout of Darren Till. Kamaru Usman, extremely creative striker, has incredible wrestling from his NCAA background. This guy does a lot of things very, very good. Unfortunately for him, I believe he's going against somebody that does things very, very great. And that is the chosen one, Tyron Woodley. So no matter how much Dana White wants him to lose, which is the word out there right now, and I can substantiate that, but I can't name my sources, so take that for what you will. I think Tyron Woodley wins this, and I actually think he's going to finish Usman. I think he knocks him out, probably in the third round. But the only advantage I see Kamaru Usman possibly having in this is his gas tank. But Tyron Woodley, he definitely doesn't have a bad one. Certainly doesn't have a bad one. He went 10 rounds, like I said, with Stephen Thompson. That brings us down to the biggest odds discrepancy on the card. Jon Jones is about a 6.5 to 1 favorite to defeat Anthony Lionheart Smith. Anthony Smith coming off of a 3-fight win streak and a streak where he won 6 out of 7. His only loss to Thiago Santos, who just destroyed Jan Blachowicz and called out the winner of this fight, by the way, after that fight. So I think a lot of people say that Anthony Smith doesn't deserve this title shot. This is a pretty weak division at 205. It's definitely heating up quickly, but it has been historically for a while. So I'm fine with Anthony Smith getting the title shot. As far as Jon Jones, what can you say about him? Nobody's ever beaten him. The guy that probably came the closest to him, he told us all that he took Alexander Gustafsson lightly. We took that as an excuse. He came back, seemed more motivated. This time comes in and absolutely dominates the guy. Then he says, I'm more motivated than ever. He seems to have a chip on his shoulder due to the USADA things. I mean, he does not give a picogram what anybody thinks right now. Jon Jones is on a warpath. He said he wants to fight as many times as possible this year. And I think he's a guy that kind of can look ahead because he doesn't look too far ahead. He called out Daniel Cormier yesterday on Twitter. He said he would fight Daniel Cormier at heavyweight if the fans want it. I think that just gives him more motivation in this fight. He said he would definitely not underestimate Anthony Smith. The fact that he addressed it makes me believe him. I don't believe a lot of what Jon Jones says. I believe he is very motivated to defeat Anthony Smith, though. And I think he can do it within those first 2 rounds pretty much whenever he wants. I think Jon Jones by submission within the first 2 rounds. I want to know what you guys think, though. Please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're going to have a ton of gifts to give away. Dutch Guy is on Saturday. I'm going to talk about just what the stream is going to look like on Saturday and what those gifts are after a very quick shout out. Just look in the links. Robinhood, one of our sponsors, that app. Click on it. You get a free stock. I get a free stock. Very simple. Don't ask me how they stay in business, but that's the deal. Get your free stock while it lasts. Of course, on it, the most natural supplements probably out there, partially owned by Joe Rogan. He loved the company so much. They're a proud sponsor here. Hulu, go over there if you have not watched Ong Bak, the trilogy. It's a great modern day martial arts video trilogy. The first one's in 2005, then I believe it's 2008, 2011. The martial arts choreography is absolutely insane. It gives you the feel of watching an old Bruce Lee movie with modern day martial arts choreography. And it is an absolute masterpiece. Even Rotten Tomatoes loved it, and they hate martial arts movies. I said it was going to be quick, so I love that movie, though. Of course, last but not least, TurboTax. Unfortunately, it is that time of year. Don't go into tax season against the IRS without someone having your back. No taxation without representation. I've trusted TurboTax for over 7 years, and I trust them to send you over there. Use my promo code for 20% off TurboTax. Of course, the Onnit code is always just Onnit/fightswithfriends.com. Gets you an automatic 10% off. But let's get to prizes. Go over to Dutch Guy's channel, MMA Newsroom. I'm going to leave a link, but he is taking your guys' picks for the main card and Jeremy Stephens versus Zabit Magomedsharipov. The winner that gets the closest, you pick the victor, you pick the round, and you pick how that person is going to win. The time is the tiebreaker. He's giving away a UFC LED clock, which I already know I'm going to win because I'm going to whoop your guys' ass on the picks. I'm just calling you out right now, Billy Timebender. No, and the lot of you. No, but I'm going to put that right behind me in the background. But he's giving away a ton more stuff. Fight posters, shirts. We're going to break him. No. But co-stream, like main event over on his channel, prelims over on this channel. When we begin to stream, I'll make another announcement of the exact time, but all the main card will definitely be over there. And like I said, a ton of stuff to win. But I want to know what you guys think down there in the comments. What do you think of my picks? Who do you think's going to win some of these fights? As always, I love you. I respect you. And I'll see your fine asses later.